If we look into nature, we see a wide range of diversity in shape, sizes, form, color, and in the richness of various species, whether it's invertebrate or vertebrate, whether it's shells or in the pattern of feather or body coat color or in the shape or the size or in the diversity of the morphology of various herbs, shrubs, and trees. Wherever we look in, we see rich diversity, rich variety, and variability in shape, size, colors, and form. Why do we see this? We see this in the living world is because thousands of species, or in other words, hundreds and thousands of species has evolved over the time in our geological history in specific pathways that has generated the ultimate species that we see today through us various modes of adaptations to the nature, various forms of co-adaptations with the nature, and thus at the end of that long geological history we see this spectacular diversity around us. The diversity has kindled interest in human minds in the form of writing poems, poetry, lyrics, essays, novellas and novels and articles, and maybe several hundred thousands of research papers that are conducted on the living forms and species around the world across various laboratories, institutes, organizations, and through various field studies. But it is also sad to note that while we are so much emphasizing on looking at the diversity and the beauty of the species that nature has so generously provided us, we are also losing a wide diversity of species around us due to various natural and anthropogenic factors. It is often mentioned that we are losing species at a much faster rate than we are discovering them. Mass extinction of species has been a characteristic of the global history of our planet across our geological time periods. However, the loss that we see today is unprecedented, and in many cases, we are unable to replace those species that we are either losing or they are very close to extinction. The challenges are humongous: climate change, global warming, destruction of forests and habitats around the world, expansion of industries and agriculture for the need of employment, for the need of food security and industrial security around the world, whether it is a first world country or a third world country, or whether it's a northern or southern hemisphere, or whether it's a developed nation or an underdeveloped or developing nation across Asia, Africa, or Latin America. Even in the Arctic and Antarctic, where we have less human habitation, we are still being impacted by various environmental factors that are taking heavy toll on the species that we see around us. Many of them are knocking at our door, asking for help. But are we ready to provide that help for the outstanding ecological roles they play for us? Possibly that's an important question to ask. Natural pollinators like bees, moths, butterflies, birds, various species of mollusks, bats, and various other mammals, all these play a very significant ecological role in the cross-pollination of more than 85% of flowering plants around the world. And this is important for maintaining the dynamics of the ecosystem as well as for supporting human economy by protecting our forests, our agriculture, and our apiculture industries. But for the great ecological and economic role our pollinator friend provides so generously to us, what are we giving them in return? Their habitats are being destroyed, their life are being scared, their families, friends, all being destroyed through our intentional or our non-intentional infrastructural approaches. Our greediness to grab everything that the world can provide to the best of our advantage, leaving nothing for our co-inhabiting species. While we harvest timber and non-timber forest products from our forest Not once do we think what impacts it would have on the habitat loss for several species of reptiles, amphibians, mammals, birds. The rivers that we are destroying, we have no understanding of how much impact we are leaving on our riverine species and the riverine ecosystem, where there is very little space left for them for regeneration. So, as we look into the diversity of the species, as we appreciate the richness, the great heritage that nature has provided us so genuinely through millions of years of evolution in our geological history, the great geographical distribution that we see, and the diversity of species on those biogeographical areas are our heritage. But unfortunately, though, we are unable to protect them comprehensively. Every day we are losing one species or another of our precious flora and fauna in some parts of the world. The danger is now not only restricted to the poorer countries, this is expanding into developed nations too. Unfortunately, though, we are only guided by our selfish needs and our selfish modes of looking into the world to grab more, but not to leave something for our co inhabitants. Mahatma Gandhi once said that nature has everything to support human need, but not enough to support human greed. This philosophy is so important at this present moment of time when we are growing through a humanitarian and global crisis around the world. As we are fighting with one another, as battles are raging in various parts of the world, people are migrating for economic security and for physical security from one country to another. Genocides and ethnic disturbances and political instability and economic deharmonization around the world is causing huge impact on human populations, and many poorest of the poor are taking refuge into the last remaining forest for their survival or for their sustainability. But can our forests, with their scanty available resources, provide to the human who are encroaching into the forest areas for various reasons, whether political, socio-cultural, socio-religious, or socio-economic factors? Or can they harbor and provide sustainability to both our biodiverse species who are non-human and our human encroachers? The question needs to be answered, and it lies with the responsibility with us. Whether we are truthful enough to answer this question, we must look into the mirror and check into our eyes and be able to respond to the specific question. Until then, our earth looks to have a bleak future. Let us join hands together in protecting species, in protecting the livelihood of our co-inhabitants who are non-humans and yet perform significant ecological services for us for our survival. Shoykot Kumar Basu, Bureau Report, Kalinga Chronicle TV.